screen again, and then here we go. All right, so we continue from where we stopped, and this is my screen. This was the last project I was working on, and I'm going to switch to the main project we're working on, which is Matplotlib here. Now I'm going to open it in this window because I don't want to open second window, and it is going to read. Now if you look here, you will see that this was the code we stopped here, which, like I told you, is updating the interpreter. And if you run this code now, it's supposed to actually bring you a result here on the screen. That's bringing a second screen for you once it finished discovering the binary models. As you can see down here, it is updating the Python interpreter. So because I opened it new, so it is done. It opens up there, and I thank those who have actually done the assignment. Thank you so much. It shows we are making an improvement. Now normally, like I said, I'm here. I want us to keep on using Jupyter Lab because anytime I open up, I want to see what you do, like the way Pablo shared his GitHub ID, as in page, and the way Victor shared his own, and I was able to go there and see what they do. So if they are telling somebody they can do a particular work, the person might ask to give me a GitHub account or to prove project you have done, and this can actually show them you have knowledge of what they are talking about. So once I open this, I have this here, which is Matplotlib in Jupyter Notebook. That the IP is Jupyter Notebook. Then I'm going to terminal here because I open it up the same way I open it. So I just need to type Jupyter the same way to launch it. So I'm going to type Jupyter Lab now, and I press enter. It says something like you see now, Jupyter Lab. It says that Jupyter Lab is not recognized. See, the little mistake I made was that there is no space between them. Now that's why I say you need to pay attention to details, and once I do the right thing, it is going to work. So before there was no you see here what it says the Jupyter Notebook is not recognized as the name of the CMD let function script. So but when I do the right thing, you can see here is automatically loading up here, and I don't have any problem about it again. So it's loading on my local machine, as you can see. Now this is the Jupyter Lab library, or the Jupyter file, sorry, and you see this is where we stopped last time. So today we are going to continue from there, and I believe all of us can hear me because I want to proceed. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Can you say something? Okay, all right. So today I'm going to make a title here. To make that title, I'm going to click here, look here, click on this. Then I'm going to go here, I have a code, and change this code to Markdown. And I'm going to write the title of whatever we're going to do today as markers. So I want us to talk about markers in, that is, or let's make it Matplotlib markers. So I'm going to put Matplotlib markers. So once you do this, the size depends on the number of this thing you put in front of it. Once you put it, press Shift Enter, and that's going to run and give you a title like this. So I'm putting up a new title for it. So I will continue with the code I copy. I copy this and I paste it here because I want to modify it. Now we are talking about marker. A marker is a situation. These things you see here, this is where this one started. You can see here you have 10, 20, 3, and 4. This is 10, 20, 3, and 4. That is 10, 20, 3, and 14. Sorry. So a marker, as we all know, is some place you mark something. So we use the keyword called marker we use the keyword argument marker to emphasize the size of this specific marker. How is it going to look like? So that's exactly what we're going to do here. Now here our code is, we're going to still use the same code we're using, but in this way, like I said, you remember when we get here, I passed an argument, like when we want to print y here, what we did last time. So I passed this into it, which you can type as marker like this. You know, we made something like this last time. and we put 0 and put something like this, and we run the code. And when we run this, we're able to get sorry, why am I not getting the result? Matplotlib run, and I have this. So you remember last time when we pass in this particular code up here, when we pass this thing into it, now it is running, it shows us the marker. But now when we want to pass marker into it here, because it's n, so you need to use the keyword which is called marker. So in this way, you put comma and type marker like this. Then when you put marker, you say equal to, you now indicate the type of marker you want to use there, which is this. So now the same code, when you run it, you should be able to have a marker of 0 that is there. So you have a marker indicating 0 on it. Now note all these markers we are using, because I am just going to copy this. I'm going to put these things here because, like I said, I want you to understand that anytime you want to use this code, you can come here and make reference. Like, you don't need to cram everything, because you can search for the documentation and you read about it. So I'm going to come down here and say duplicate this in below. Now the next marker I will talk to you about is the marker which is star. If you add star inside here and run the same code, you're going to see that the particular ending of it have a star. Now there are other several markers we can talk about, which I am just going to quickly talk about for you to understand. Not every marker, not everything you pass here will work, because this had been, that is why you are importing Matplotlib. What if you put here C and then run the same code as a marker? You see that it is going to throw an error, because this is not a type, it doesn't recognize it, it doesn't know anything like that as C, as marker. So what I'm going to do for you this night is I'm going to talk to you about different markers we have in Python, in Matplotlib. Another marker is using full stop. You run it with full stop, you see that particular place have a marker which is full stop. Now I'm going to duplicate the code again, because I want you to use this as a reference anytime to put up these markers we are talking about. You can also use a markers which is X as well. There are different of them. You see we have markers of X. Then you can use big X or small x, that can work. You can also use plus sign. All those signs you have in these things in arithmetic, normal arithmetic, you can put a plus sign by pressing shift equal to and run this. You see that is going to have a marker of plus sign. You can see it up here. You can use a marker of something like plus sign which is called plus fill. Now to put a plus fill, you change this to capital P. Now if you run for capital P, it is called plus fill. It means it is going to give you a bigger fill. Now the small one, let me comment it a bit here. The small one is just I'm going to say equal to using this plus sign. But if you want to make it bold, you use the big one, and that is going to come in that way. Another thing you can use is by using square. For example, you want to pass the argument square into it. So I am going to remove this because I have commented this. If you want to pass argument square into it, if you want it to be a square, you pass S into markers and run the code. You should be able to have a square. Now if you want to use diamond, we have big diamond and small diamond. If you want to use big diamond and small diamond, just know I'm going to duplicate the code, and then if you use D, which is capital D, it comes as a diamond. So if I run the same code again, you will see it become a diamond. You can see it here. So you can also use some parameters like small diamond is D. You run it and that comes here with the small diamond. We also have hexagonal, which is something you can pass H into it, and if you run it, you will see it putting up the H there. So there are different other ones, but you just need to know the one you are going to use. So you can also use this, which is called less than. If you pass less than into it, and then you see it showing you this type of sign like an arrow that way. You can use the arrow the other way. You can also use something like 1. I think it have from between 1 to 4, and then it pass through that particular way it is. That is triangular, try down, so it will give you a triangular down. If you need a triangular up, you use something like pass through keyword to it. So this is just markers. This is what you use in different places, and you can also use the vine, which is here. You use this sign here, and then when you pass it through it, you should be able to have something that looks in this particular, cutting it off. So this is how different ways you can use marker to mark the particular point or the place you are talking about. So we can also talk about what we call f-string, that is formatting. How do you format in Python? And that is exactly what I'm going to do. So in this way, I'm going to click here, I'm going to change this thing to markdown, and I'm going to go here and type this into 2 space, and then I'm going to say format string, and then I'll press shift enter, and it comes in this way. And I am going to copy this code here, copy, and I'm returning back here and paste it. Now here in formatting, what it means is that you use the shortcut formatting, like we have said, format, and write it that way. That is the marker, the line, and the colors you want to make. The marker, the line, and the colors. So in that way, I'm still going to use the same thing I did, but in this way I am just going to pass an argument of 0, and then I'm going to use this and R. Now in this way, what will be the result of the code I run? It is showing that O.R is unrecognized. Okay, hold on a bit. I have the marker. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. So you don't need to pass a marker into it. Sorry, that was the mistake I made, because when you have that, you don't need to pass marker into it. So you just run it normally. So now you see what I did was that I use the R, this, as a sign, format it in such a way that the same thing I'm writing here, it is a full line, but now it's coming like a dotted line. Now you can see the difference, and I'm using this. What I did is format it in such a way that I will have a red line, and the marker is going to be circle. So it means that if you use capital D and then run the same code, you should have a big diamond. Now, what am I saying this? I'm saying this because it is just for you to alternate it. We have talked about this marker, but what I make here is that I didn't put any marker here. The difference is that I come down here, I didn't pass marker, define marker here, I just put D. So the same way, if you put 2 here and run the same code, you will see that I'm going to have this sign here. If you put arrow less than or greater than here and run the same code, you're going to have this thing that looks like this. This is what you need to understand. So when you get to this, I want you to pay critical attention, because if you don't pay critical attention, you might be having 1 or 2 issues. Now, another thing is that in passing this, you can also pass some keywords like this. And if you run this, sorry, now if you run this, it's going to give you a full line. You see the way it is, a full line. Now if you change these things to a semicolon, it becomes dot dot. What if you change it to a double minus, like dot dot into 2? You have something that looks like bigger like this. You see the way I am putting it up, how I want the line to be. That is exactly what I'm doing. Then if I want to change this to something like dot and full stop, you have something that looks like this. You can see the way the line is breaking. So it means that if you leave the line value formatting parentheses, so no, this thing will be plotted, because you are passing the formatting into it. Now another thing we need to talk about quickly is, I want to put a title to it, and I'm going to talk about colors. So we talk about color reference. Now when we talk about color reference, reference. So when we talk about color reference, I press shift down, and in color references, so how do you reference a color is exactly what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'll continue like this. Let me copy this, and I will use this color reference here. Now you see here I have red, and if I run it, that's why it's going to give me red here. And I'm going to here to change this red to blue, and then I run it, it gives me blue color. I'm going to copy the same code because I want to remain this color for you, so that when you are looking at it or trying to repeat the same thing, you won't run into issue. What if I want it to be the color of black, the color of cyan? So I have to pass this thing to C, and then run it, and then you're going to have this type of color. What if you want it to be in another color like yellow? You pass the same thing and run it, and it gives you yellow color. What if you want it to be black? Black and blue is BB, so black is bearing K, which is K, and then if you run it, it will give you K, which is black. So this is the only one that is distinctive. And white still remain white, start with W, and you have white here, because while you are is empty, because it is white, you won't be able to see what is there. So but black is K, so I'm going to leave black, and I run the black here, you have it there. Then another thing we will talk about is marker size. I'll go here, change the code, put it up here, and I'm going to say marker size. So in marker size, how do you change the size of your marker? Now in changing the size of your marker, you change it by passing the distance, which is ms. Ms is used as for marker size. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to place the marker size, this one, to modify for marker size. Now what am I going to do here? First thing you need to here, you will return the argument we were using before. So I'm going to put comma, and I'm going to say marker, and then I'm going to say give me a marker of, let's use V, small v. And then another thing I want you to put is marker size, which is ms. I want the marker size to be size 13. Now if I run this code, then I'm going to have a marker size that is 13. What if I change this thing to 43, and I run this problem setting? Are you seeing what I'm saying? So let me change this thing, instead of V, and change it to let's say this, to see what we can have. And then you're going to have an error, because this is not a part of things is organized. So let me use these things as let me use square. So let me put S and run the same code. You will have a square here. You can see the way it is big. So if I reduce this thing to 4 and run the same code again, it is going to be smaller like this. So this is a way you can put a marker size, and also pass the size type of marker you want to use it. So if you want to increase it to 14, you can make it to let's say 10, and run it, and this is the way you can increase the size of your marker. Now this you can do anytime you want to do it. Now let's talk about marker size. Then the marker size, the marker color, marker color. I'll go here and change it to this, and then I will press shift enter. The marker color have to be the same way, like if you want the color marker to have its own color. So I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to paste it here. And what do I need to modify? What the every other thing remain the same thing, but in aspect of the color, you have to pass another argument in here. And then to do this thing, you're going to say pass through this thing using make. And make, you have to say equal to, and then you put the color you want. So I'm going to use color black. I think I'm already using, yes, blue. So let me use the color black, which is K, and I am going to run the same code here. And then you see that the outline of this, you can see here, the outline of it is the outline of it is black. Okay, let's put it into red. I think red will be more visible to the eyes, and I'll run it, and you can see the out color of it is red. So this is a way you can do it. And if you want to fill it, like you want it to fill it, like to fill the color, now what you need to do is, instead of you changing the color in this way to fill, to outline, change this particular place to be MFC, which is to like fill the color with red. So if you run it, it's going to fill the color, leaving the outline, doing the opposite of what you do. You can see here, doing the opposite of what you do. So this is just what you just need to do in case you are trying to visualize your data the way you want it to be. So but if you don't want it to fill, like if you don't want it to fill it completely the way it is filling, so you need to pass the marker like this, the way it is here. You can see it fill it with, like here it fill it with red. But what if you don't want it to fill it with anything? So what you need to do is that you need to pass both all of them to it, which is, now you need to pass M, like the mech, the mech you remove. So you put mech and you can fill it with, okay, we are using red, so we can also use red. Now use comma. Now if you run this code, you will see that it will completely fill it with red. Both the color outline and the filling is now red. So this is the way you can fill it. Remember the square here, if I want to change it to circle, I will have to use 0. And then if I run the same code, you will see it changing to circle. So this is a way you can get this done. So each of these marker, anyhow you do it, you are going to get that color. So remember, there are different types of color. So whichever way you want to change your own to, you can change it to that way. So once you do that, you will be able to have a different result when it comes to markers. So you just need to recognize that. Now another thing I want us to talk about, we have 31. Okay, so another thing we'll talk about is the aspect of let's talk about the style. So we'll go to line style. Let me style. Then in my line style, this is the way you want your line to be, the style you want your line to be. And in that way, what do I mean? How do you want your line to be? We are still using the same assignment we did, or the code we were using since. So in this way, instead of you passing, you see, you can incorporate this dot line we are using, the filling, but I want just to talk about the line style. So here I am going to remove everything I pass into here, and then I'm going to put up what I call line style. So you type it in small the way it is, which is line style, and then you say equal to, and then you run it with, I want it to be a dotted line, so I'm going to put a dotted, then here, and then I'm going to run it, and then sorry, made a mistake, we have attribute error, so I put triple T here instead of double T. And I also have another error. The error is because I supposed to write style and I write style. So I will run it and I will have this line style. So you see now it is now in dotted. So we use dotted to make the line style dotted. Now what if you change this argument instead of dotted? Let me copy this, and then instead of you making a dotted, and you change the same place to dash, like change it to dash. So I'm going to type dashed, and then I'm going to run it, and I'm going to have it in dash format. So this is a way you can work on your line. So you know that line is line style, so that is line style is going to come up that way. So these are different ways you can do. So what I want you to know that this same way you put line style here, for example, let me put this code here, instead of you putting line style, you can still use ls, it will recognize it. And instead of you using dotted line, you can also still use this full stop, or is full stop. And if you run the same code, and then you're supposed to have the line style is not working, so ls, and sorry, is supposed to be in the dotted sign, not here like this, like we used earlier. And if you run this code, you're supposed to have the same dotted line. I use ls here and I put a double dot here, that also work. So whichever way you do it, the most thing you should understand is you can use lash, dotted line, and those things. So you can use the solid one, don't put anything into it, or you put a dotted line into it. You can use dot, you can use dot dash, you can use none. So this is a way you can make those things possible. We have talked about line colors, which we were able to change the different colors of the line. Did we change the, yeah, you can see here we change this into red, we put a dotted line and change it to red. So this can work that same way. If you don't want to make it that way, you just copy the code here, changing the color line. I'm going to paste this here. Then here I'm passing this argument, which I am going to, instead of putting the line sign, so I am going to plot the point and I'm going to type color. Remember color in US format, and then change this thing to, let's still use red that is visible to eyes more, and then you can see the color being red. So it means that if you want to use blue, you can also pass blue into it and you have blue. Now these things we are talking about is, this can be a coordinate line. When I say coordinate line, it can work. So because after this we're going to be using coordinate, a way if you want to plot a road, you can use this thing I did now, you can use this thing to plot both building, define it the way you want it, and it looks like a building, then looks like a plan, like a plot. If you can put a line like this and it knows where it is, it means that if you pass, if you pass, because the next assignment you are probably going to have, you are going to plot a plot of land. Extract 4 coordinate, replace the 4 coordinate where we use x and y, and extract, and I want you to use this to plot a plot of land for me using this grid method. We are going there, but that's what I just want you to understand, is this aspect of understanding the beginning of it. Now another thing I want us to talk about before we proceed is the line width. So I'll copy this and I'm going down here and I paste this. Now what if I want to make an increase into this line here? So you are going to use the argument which is called line here width. And when you put line width here, you specify with the number you want it to be, the size you want it to be. So I am going to use here 1, and then if I run the code, it says, oh sorry, I made a mistake. It says I didn't complete this right one. So this is the line width here. What if I put it 10 and run the same code? It is going to be bigger. So what if I put it 100 and run the same code? It is going to be bigger. So this is what is happening here. So I'm returning it back to, let's say, because I'm not wicked, let me give it small 5 and pass small 5 to it, and this is just going to give me the size of it. So this is a way you can work with lines like the big ones. Now I'm going to copy this again as we proceed. So we are going to talk about how do you work on those things. Remember, we are using only x. Now what if we come in here and then do copy this and then paste it here, and then change this thing to our normal y, x, sorry, we change it to x point, and let's change this thing to 4, change this thing to 13, change this thing to 3. Is it 3? Okay, let's remove 3 and make it 9, and then instead of this, let's make it 4, or let's make it 1. And then you see in here where we have, I'm going now to pass another argument which is plus x and y. So I'm going to change this and then put it x point, and then the same way we plotted the other one, and then I'm going to run show, and then we have these things. But I made a mistake. Yes, I made a mistake here. So I'm supposed to make it, it's supposed to be plot 1 and plot 2. So I am going to remove this and make x here, copy this, close this up, press enter, press PLT. Remember where we started with PLT, what it means. So I believe we are not having issue with it till now. I'm going to say plot, and then I'm going to now plot y. Now remove x, now because that's what we want to work on, the x and y. So I'm going to run this code, and you see I'm having 2 lines coming together. So what does it mean? It means that if you pick a point on the road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, arrange the point in x easting nothing, easting nothing, easting nothing, easting nothing, and bring these two things like this. If this is a road, you're going to have that road that way. What do I mean? Let me use here 4, let me use here as 8, let me use here as 16. Now let me use here as 20, and now let me run the code. You see now what happened. This is the blue, which is going to be 4. You can see 4 here. Another one is you have 8 here. You see 8 here. Another one you have 16 here. This is 16 and 20. Now if you change this same thing, let me put the same thing as 4 and then run the same code. What happens here? It intersected in the same place. Now because we want to put a road of 2 meters, I'm going to put 2 value lower than it, and you see it coming here. You see the way where it is. Now because it is that, here I am going to put 6, here I am going to put 12, and here I am going to put 18. Now this is actually going to give me a straight line road if I want to assume this is a road. And you can see the road giving like this. Now what was the difference here? I put 18 here. This is 4. Okay, half of 8 is supposed to be 4. Then half of 16 supposed to be 8. And then no, am I getting this right? No, I don't think I'm getting this right. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting it right. Well, let me run it. But that's not what I want to put up. I want it to be less than 2 at any interval, so that I will have this space I have firstly here. I have 2 and 4, so that it looks like a road. But you understand what I'm trying to say to do right now. But if you have the difference between both of them, 4, and here the difference between this one, so it's supposed to be 6, and the difference between 16 is supposed to be 14, and the difference between this is supposed to be 18. So, and if I run this code here, you will see that this is what I'm looking at. So if it is a road that I give you a coordinate to plot for me with the road, this is what you're going to do. So remember these things I am talking about now, because it is going to be coming in gradually. As it is now, if this is a road, you can see that you have finally defined the road, the way the road looks. You have defined how that road goes, and then you see that it is working perfectly now. You see, this is simply a way to make it done. So you have a road here. We'll go to label it. We'll label it access road, and you see it working the way it's supposed to work. Now what if you put 2 variable here? Let me copy this to show you what I'm talking about. Then I paste this here, and then I pass only 4 and 20 in here, and I pass only 6 and 14 here. Then is that, yeah, that's right, and I run it. Now what do you have? You have a straight line road. So this is a way I can plot a 2 road in here, between here and here. So in this way, they are not in the same line. What do you need to do here? Because this is 2 and 4, if you add it up, you have an issue this way. So you remember the way you can do it. So you can make it in such a way that in the x part where you have x, it should be up to here. But this is the way you can plot a straight line road, and we can label it on top or below, on the line or below the line, the way we label in ArcGIS. So this is a simple way you can make this possible, and this is the way you can work on this. So how do you work on different lines? Like let's say for example that you want to work on multiple lines and let them have the same value on the same place. So you can do the same thing and it intersect. How do you make those intersections? And let's say I have this. I'm just going to copy this to explain the intersection of what I'm saying. I'll paste it up here, and then I have here that I'm going to still copy this same thing here, copy, and go down here and paste. And I'm going to put this one 1. I'm going to make this one 1. I'm going to now pass these things into X, and take out this comma. I'm going to make this one, copy, paste. I'm going to put 1 comma. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to comma, and I'm going to paste again. I'm going to close this up now, and I'm going to change this thing to Y, and I'm going to change this thing to also Y, and I'm going to add 1 to it, and I will run this code. Then what happens here? You see it bring them here overlapping because I use the same values. So x and y are on the same place because I use the same values. So I bring everything together and I pass all of them at the same line, and all of them, you can see it on top of each other. So this is a way what you can get in this part and on this aspect. So what I want you to know is that all these things we are doing is gradually going to form to something reasonable, but you need to understand what I'm saying. So we will be working on this. So I want to talk about few things before we stop, because our time, we have used 40 minutes and we have 90 minutes. 90 divided by 2 is 45, so we have 1 minute. We are already overlapping, but because I want you to do something really reasonable, so because of that I am going to talk about Matplotlib. Matplotlib label, sorry, the labels. Yeah, go ahead.
Can it be able to plot a curve?
A what?
Curve.
Yes, we are coming into that. We're going to do curve. Curve is best in, like for me, when I'm doing a setting out curve, when I'm working on curve, like I'm working on curve in surveying, I plot it basically using Python because it makes work easy for me. You can, anything that come into your brain, you can plot it, bro. Yeah. Anybody that asks you, tell the person I said so. Whatever that enter your brain, if you can define it, it must resemble something. We will be using it to do CorelDRAW design. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we'll be using it to do CorelDRAW design, like CorelDRAW, something that makes sense. So we'll be designing whatever that comes into your brain. We'll design whatever you want. You are the one in charge. If you want us to design, we design. Is that okay?
All right. Oh, wow. Thank you.
All right. So now let's talk about something small. I want us to talk about what we call title. And there is a few arguments you are going to be passing through it. But before we go to title, let's talk about axis. Remember that I say PLT is a, remember, import this thing as PLT. Now, if I use this thing as PL, it means that I need to still change this one to PL, but I want us to leave it at default. So now, this particular place we plotted, but I want us to add some other parameters into it. And what other parameters? I want us to label it. So I am going to, for me to label it, I am going to change this. So let me make it smaller so that for me it's stressing me now. So I'm going to put this one here as X. I'm going to make this one as Y. I'm going to make this one as X. I'm going to make this one as Y, so that you know this is your X axis and this is your Y axis. And if I run the same code, you are going to have these things. It's going to work. Now what am I going to do? Now to label in Matplotlib, you just need to say PLT the same way you will dot. Now you are going to do label, and in that label you are going to say X label. Do you get it now? So I am going to say here, I'm going to put a particular parenthesis. I'm going to say Blake. I'll close it. Now if I run this code, we are going to have, it says Matplotlib has no attribute as X label. Sorry, I supposed to put label, not labelly. So I put Blake here. What happens here? You see Blake coming here. We're going into the axis now. I label the Blake, and then I go down here. If I want to do for Y, I'm going to copy it, press enter, paste it. I'm going to change this thing to Y, and I'm going to write this thing Pablo. And then I will run the same code. We see that X-axis have Pablo, Y-axis have Baleki. So this can be is an old man. Then this is a young man. So you can see here, Blake is an old man, Pablo is a young man. I put it up here, and it's going to put
How?
Blake is a young man and an old man. So if you change this to Y, what will happen? Both of them, you see the first one override the second one. I will change this one to X and run the code. You see that it doesn't change anything. Pablo is in the X-axis. Where is Pablo? Pablo is here. Whichever arrangement does not matter. So you can see now in the axis I put Baliki is a old man, and then this man is a new man. So now I'm going to copy in aspect of title. What you need to pass is pass another argument, which is plt.title. Who is talking to us? Is anybody talking to us?
No, nobody's talking to us. It's
You
like a
can
background voice.
okay, you can present. Alright, so I'm talking about title. So I'm going to do a title, and then it is going to be Kingsley Chikachukwu. You see, I just passed the title. It is a built-in function in Matplotlib. So you don't need to it's a built-in function. So it is not something that you need to wonder how did it come about. It's a built-in function because it is a Matplotlib. So this function plt.this thing is already in there. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to read more about it, when you go to the title, right click on it and click on show conceptual helps. So you click on this on the title, see here, it's going to, if you click on it, this is everything you need to know about it. So you come here and read what does it want. Axis dot the title Y is determined by automatically avoiding the decorators on the axis. So this is the documentation. You can read about it here. This is a way you can see more things you need to understand. So the title, because I click on title, you see here title, label have to be a string, then font dic, we are going into this, that is font. The location you also need to know. If you want to pad it, you can pad it with these following things. Now if I go to an X label, it's going to change and give me every documentation about it. If I want to see what you mean by import, but what do you mean by plot, whatever you click on here that is built-in function like plot, for example, is going to show you this, because plot is used to do everything that you need to see here. Read through it here. You see the way I bring it on. If you are in Python, go back to PyCharm here, click on the PyCharm, click on the plot here, right click on it, click on go to document, go to documentation here, go to implementation, sorry, it will open you everything about how it is being documented. You can see here I am reading it, and I will know this is how this is why I like women, because women can take time to read this thing to bring a better something that looks nice. Men doesn't have that patience. But if you read about these things, you see everything we are talking here is inside here. Everything we have been talking is inside here. So this is a way you can to inquire what you need to inquire. So this is the way I add title. You can see here I added the title here, here. Then this is what I did here. Now I added the title, then and it shows me there. That's the way you can add a title to it. Now another thing we need to talk about, how do you send font? But I think this one is going to, I don't know whether it's going to take us time, but how do you set a font? Now to set a font, you can have a family. For example, in setting a font, there are different other types of font which you, like I said, if you want to see about the font, go to implementation. That's going to help you show you the font. Now as we put up these things, I can decide to go here after defining my data, and I can decide to say, let's say font, let's name the first one font 1, and we can say that font 1 should be, use your dictionary. Remember when we were speaking so much grammar about dictionary and rest of them, so we use our dictionary. So let's talk about the family. Now what family are we looking at? Let's bring in the family of, do I like area? You can use area, whichever one. So all you need to do is to write the family you're talking about. So let's use the family of, it's a family of serif, and then after that the same way we do dictionary. then you close the dictionary, you go to comma. What color do you want it to be? I want the color, so you type color. Remember color in the way US, and then you put source to put it in dictionary and tell us that you want it to be red. Remember, I've talked about color. If you don't want to write red, what are you going to put? Then another thing is, what is the size? Is this also type size? And then the size is also going to pass it. Let's make the size 20. Now, after making the size 20, you close it up the dictionary. Now, when you close up the dictionary, you see here, I didn't do the right thing, so I have to put the right thing. Sorry, I have to put color, and then this is not in dictionary, but size itself is not in dictionary, so I'm going to make size in the way it's supposed to be. Remember, we talked about dictionary, and if you don't talk about it, ask Daniel. He's the boss of dictionary. Now this is font 1. You can also make, let's say, font copy, and then make font 2 with another font, then and you change this color to blue, and then change the size to 10. And then you have defined the font you want to use for each of them. You have defined the font you want to use. So what are you going to do in that part? So what you need to do is that, since we want Blake is an old man and we have defined it, so what we can use to do is to use font dic. That is, it is used to that is font dictionary. We used to call the font you define, and in this way we have font 1, because what I want to use as font 1 is what which I have defined up here. I want to use it to be in the label. No, I want font 2. Then if you make it font 2 and then you run this code, you're supposed to have the font. You see the way it is showing Blake is an old man. You can see here, because I say in the X make it this way. Then in the Y, I also need to copy the same thing. I want it to have X and Y to have the same thing, so command, I'll paste this. But in font 1, I want it to have, I will paste it to font 1, and then if I run it, I should be able to have a different font. You see how big it is? I'm saying can select here. Here how big it is. If I want to change the color, I just need to come here and change the color to green, and then I will run the code again, and you see it showing me in green color. Old man Blake is an old man, so let me change him to black. So I'm going to use a black man. He's too black, so I can change it to black. You see it's coming up like this.
Not old,
Now
not
because
classy.
huh?
Go
How
ahead,
do we?
sorry, go ahead.
All right, so this is the way you can work on the font that you can see here. Then you can go to implementation, check for the show, and then you can see the different font you can see use here. You just need to work on it, go through here and see the way you can pass the parameters or the argument into it. But majorly this is what you can see. What I did here, I just passed it in here, and if I run the code, should be able to give me the right color that I want. So it says font A is not found. Okay, yeah, so font A is not found. I go back to where I define my font. I am trying to write Arial. How do they write Arial again? A-R. Am I getting it? Your A-R-I-E-L. No, this is not right.
AREA.
I'm correct. So you can see the font here. So all you need to put the right font the way it is, and then it comes in here. You can see I put the title and I draw the road in between them. I put the x-axis and I also put the y-axis, and this is exactly what I did now. So that this is the way you can write the title, and it worked perfectly. So this is the way you can work on the title, and then it work perfectly. So another thing I want you to know before I stop is that I talk about in location. For example, let me paste this up here. If I pass another argument into it, I pass another argument like here, and I will remember I say LOC, which is the location. You can pass the location into it and say you want it to be here. By default, it will be where it is. So if I pass this argument into it, it says the loc left is not a valid location supported at bottom. And oh, sorry, I made a mistake because I supposed to pass this is x-axis here. This is not the place I'm supposed to pass it to. I'm supposed to pass it in title. I was thinking I am in the right place. So I put the x-axis first before putting the title. So I'm putting it up here and I'm going to run it here, and you can see here it is by the left hand side. Then location, I want to change it to right, so I'm going to change it to right here, and I'm going to run the same code here, and then that's comes in here. You see it is by the right. So this is all about location. It's all about location. So this is a way you can work on locations. So you see the way I put it by the right hand side or the left hand side. So this is a way you can work in aspect of title and aspect of location. So your location or position can be left, right, or center. Center is by default. If you don't pass the location, it is going to be there without any distance, like without you touching it. So by location, leaving it default like that, it is going to show you that particular way without passing without passing anything into it. If you don't pass anything into it, it's just going to be like so. I'm going to stop here, but you can see what I mean up here. So the assignment I'm going to give you, it is simple. The first assignment is that you are going to reproduce this, but you are going to use it to a coordinate of a plot. Now the coordinate of a plot, let me show you how we work on the coordinate of the plot. But I want you to, after doing these things, practice this in. I want to see all these things in your GitHub account. Then after practicing these things, I want to see you work on a square, the way it comes. So in working on it, I want you to do something like this. I'm going to do my own assignment now, and I'm going to paste this. Now here, I designed the first font and second font is done. So I'm going to change this thing to X. Let me change this thing to, let's say, Y. Let's still use Y so that we'll not be fighting over what we plotted before. I'm going to remove this, and if I run this code, I am going to have only Y. So it means that if I return here and I'm going to pass this particular argument into 2, I'm going to use 4, I'm going to use 6, and I'm going to use 8. Now if you run this, you're going to have a straight line going like this. So what if you have a point here, have another point here, have another point here, and have another point here? Then you require a 2. Let me copy and then we paste, and then let me change this into X and change this also to, okay, it's already in Y, and to Z, and then come down here and I say plp.plot, and I open this and I pass Y into it and close it and I run this code. I have both of them in the same place, so I'm going to change this thing to 3, change this thing to 5, and I will run the same code, and then you see the way it is moving up here now. So what I need you to do for me is I want you to pass 4 arguments that will plot a plot here for me. This is a plot going 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember what we did here. We're using this X and Y. So you see this now, I have 3 points within this place. You see how this thing come down and close. So maybe you see your X and Y. Maybe we should use this type of array. Copy, and let me go down here, and I'm going to pass this into in here, and then change this thing to X, and then change this thing here to Y, and then I'm going to run this code. You have this type of thing. Now you see the way it goes in here this way. So I want you to do the same thing for me, but this is a point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. So I want you to understand this thing I'm going to say now. This is a point 1, which is 10, that is Y. Then I have another point here, which is 20, right? Then I'm supposed to have another point here, which is let me check what it is. It is going to be 15. Is that 15? That is 15. So I want to reduce this thing to y. I want to reduce this thing to, let me make it, okay, this is 10, this is 20. What will be here, it is saying that the next thing that is here is 3. Let me make it 6 and check what I want to check. Now this is 6. Now what will come back here is you people should help me now. 5. You people know I was not in school when they were teaching these things. No, this is 4. So this is around, this is supposed to, this is 4 here, and this is under here. People should help me now. I'm shouting.
X should be 5 now.
I'm shouting for help now.
Y should be 5.
Hmm?
Y should be 5, while X is
5.
7.
What I need is I just need a something that will give me a square here, a circle, like a square.
5 and 0 can give you at that point where you're, yeah.
Okay, 5 and 0. So let me
Yeah.
return back to 5. You know, I was not in school. They were telling us that I'm busy doing another thing. So X Collins.
No, Y now. Y is supposed to be 0. I mean, X is supposed to be 0. Y is 5.
X supposed to be 0.
Yes. Y is 5.
Use 15 and 5.
Where?
That is
In Y?
10, 20, 15 and 5.
Okay, 10, 20,
20, 15
15.
and 5.
Yeah, I think that's
And
what
5.
type of thing I need. But let me know whether your brain is working. Blake, who is this man? So okay, this is Y 10, this is 20, this
Yes.
is 15, which
Yes.
is here.
What we needed is for this X, for this 5 now to come closer to this to the X.
I can use 10. Is it?
It will run straight.
No. I'm making a mistake anyway. Yeah, I'm making a mistake.
Yeah, I think this is where curve comes in.
Yeah, I'm making a mistake because this is Y axis. I am not combining both X and Y. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the mistake is coming from. Yeah. So this is X Y plot. So but what I want us to do now, I think I'll figure it out because I don't want it to be a point. If you see here, I needed something that will come down here because I want you to get the idea of what I'm trying to say. The way we can have, you see this here, this is X and Y. We put 4, 4, 4, 4, and it comes like this. So I needed a coordinate that will close up here, coming back again. But to hold in, this is what you need to understand. If you have a coordinate of a place that have 4 points, put the coordinate here, easting and nothing, it will close. That's what I mean. You get what I'm saying now?
Okay.
So yeah, because if you have a coordinate that will close X and Y that will close, I want you to work on this. This is the code I want you to use to work on it. Get this code. That will be the, after this thing I do here, I'll do my own. After this thing I do like this, when I finish my own, I'll paste the result on the WhatsApp. But what I want you to do is that I want you to work using this format. After practicing these things we have here, put the title the way you want, put the x-axis the way you, with the name you want, but I want you to get used to this thing I did here. So by next time, I will have a working coordinate and we should be able to like put the way, like I did the road here, and I will put a plot here. So we'll be able to have a plot of land here. And remember, we can mark it with the pillar and then put the road across it. So this is what we are going to do next time, but this is where we are going to stop. Then I'll tell you the assignment you're going to do on this now. Get a coordinate. If not, contract if Collins can help us with 4 point, because I know he's the only surveyor here. If he can help us with a coordinate of 4 point or 5 point, but let it be a plot of land, a plot. Plot it and put the title give yourself the plot, the x and y axis, produce something like this for us. So this is how we know we are going to make progress. So if you have a question, you ask. If not, we are going a break for 1 minute. If you have any question,